And welcome to the Retire Early, Retire Now podcast. This is episode number 2, and I am your host, Hunter Kelly, owner of Palm Valley Wealth Management. And in this episode, I want to talk about the importance of having your financial world organized in regards to what I like to call the desk drawer theory. But before we dive in, I just want to remind you guys this is for educational purposes only. This is not financial, tax, or legal advice. Anything that you hear on this podcast, again, is for educational use only. Please consult a financial, tax, or legal professional before implementing any of this advice, and please keep Palm Valley Wealth Management in mind when making those considerations. So, what is the desk drawer theory? This is the one place in your house where all the documents labeled financial get shoved into the drawer and don't ever get looked at again. It is that username and password that is created when you establish an account, maybe a 401k. You log in once and then you forget the password a few weeks later and then never go back to that account. The next thing you know, you're 10, 20 years down the road and there are too many statements, accounts, policies that you don't even know where to start, how to get those organized. Oftentimes, there is no rhyme or reason to your investment allocation or why you have the policy in the first place. Sometimes that crazy ex-spouse is still the beneficiary of those accounts. Or even worse, you forgot about a 6-figure 401k account because you didn't even open the letter that notified you that your 401k provider has changed from a previous employer. It's crazy to think, but all of these things I have seen over the years working with clients. If this sounds like you to some degree, if you feel a little bit unorganized or you haven't thought about those investments or insurance policies in quite some time, what I want to talk about today is give you some resources and some strategies to make sure that you are checking on those things periodically so that crazy ex-spouse is not on your life insurance policy and you don't forget about accounts that maybe you had from previous employers. So the first thing that I would recommend that you could do is set a reminder in your calendar, maybe once, twice, or maybe a little bit more frequently if you need, to review things like your investment allocation. So should you be rebalancing? Does your risk tolerance still make sense for where you're at? So are you aggressive enough or should you become more conservative? Review those beneficiaries as life changes. Contribution rates, are you saving enough? Are you saving too much? Asset location, should I be doing Roth versus pre-tax versus after-tax contributions towards savings? Assess if you should consolidate some assets or accounts. Maybe you left a job, you have an old 401k that you want to consolidate maybe to the new employer or an IRA. And then also set a reminder to change passwords. Given this day and age, accounts are hacked often. Changing your password can help kind of mitigate that as well. One of the next challenges I see is that because there may be a handful of accounts, whether it be bank accounts, investment accounts, kids' college savings, things of that nature, there's just a lot of logins. So one of the things that I recommend is finding a site where you can aggregate these accounts into one secure location. And so some of the services or companies that offer this, one of the biggest ones is Mint. So you can aggregate all of your accounts there. And then the other thing that they do a really good job of is having the functionality to help budget. So if you're in that stage of life where you want help kind of controlling where your spending is going, Mint can be really good for budgeting. And then also it is free. The next one is Personal Capital. Again, does a great job of aggregating accounts together, but this where they're going to excel a little bit better than Mint will is through the investment management. So they do offer some wealth management services, but there is a little bit of cost to that. And then there are some minimums, I believe, as well. And then there are 2 other financial advisor based softwares, Right Capital and eMoney. They do the data aggregation. And the reason why I like these a bit better, obviously a biased opinion, but if you're working with an advisor, they can see those accounts as well. So as you're working through your financial plan, they can see the changes. And then as you review, there's less need to go back and forth about updating. accounts and things of that nature, as long as those links are working. The other great thing about Right Capital eMoney is they have a vault or a cloud service where you can upload different types of financial documents, such as statements and policies, maybe some estate planning documents. And so that, again, is a good place to have all of this information so that, one, you don't have to clutter up your house or your place that you live, but two, you can have it wherever you are as long as you have internet connection, which can be good, especially for those estate planning documents. The biggest takeaway with these sites is just to find one that you're comfortable using, that you're going to want to use on a periodic basis, whether that's in partnership with your financial advisor or just something that you can do yourself. But make sure that you are setting those reminders to review those accounts, and then the website is just going to make it a lot easier to jump in and see everything at once. The next thing that I would recommend for those documents that you do need to keep physically, like Social Security cards, birth certificates, things of that nature, passports, is I recommend a fireproof safe that you can access relatively easy. One, because if you're going on vacation or whatever, you want to be able to get to that easily. But two, in the case of where we live in Florida, oftentimes there are hurricanes and natural disasters. Being able to gather that information fairly quickly if we have to evacuate just kind of alleviates the worry and the search that goes on if you have to leave in a hurry. So making sure that you have that fireproof safe in the event of a fire or a need to access that documentation quickly is a good thing to have. Finally, with this day and age, everything has a password and a login. And the last thing that I will recommend is finding a provider or a service that allows you to aggregate all of your logins and passwords in one spot. One of the common ones you use is called 1Password. And so what they're able to do is keep your passwords all in a safe location. All you need is 1Password to obtain that. So at this point, you may be feeling a bit overwhelmed, realizing how many accounts you have or insurance policies, or maybe you forget all of those things that you have, and you're wondering, do I have that? Do I not have that? One of the first things we're able to do with clients at the firm is get them set up onto eMoney. This is the data aggregator that we use. It has advisor planning software on the back end, but clients are able to aggregate all of their accounts, and then that allows us to, one, do kind of that periodic check, look at their beneficiaries, look at their asset allocation, how much do they have in Roth versus pre-tax, 401ks, IRAs, what is the investment mix, does it align with kind of what we've talked about over the last couple of meetings. And I find that this makes the client feel a lot more at ease with their situation because they have clarity of what they have and kind of starting to see how they are going to get from point A to point B and start creating that plan. So I generally like this meeting because you start to see that clarity, and then that allows us to start getting into more of the planning piece, the advice piece, because they know exactly where they are in their financial world. So I think this is a good spot to wrap up the episode today. Again, what I want you to take out of this is, one, know where your financial docs are, whether that's aggregated on a software or in some sort of filing cabinet in your house, and then set a reminder to check it periodically to make sure you know what you have and make sure that there are no changes needed or make the necessary changes that are needed. If you would like help getting organized, please check us out at palmvalleywm.com, or you can email me at hunter@palmvalleywm.com. And I look forward to speaking with you in the next one.